So how do you go about selling a whole house full of stuff and not have to take 5 years to do it? This is so important if you are soon to retire and preparing for an exciting life change, or planning a new way of life, such as full-time nomad travel. In these kinds of cases, decluttering and Swedish death cleaning, which is what we tend to call it nowadays, I can't say enough great things about it. So let's first start talking in general about different kinds of techniques for decluttering. And one of them is quite simply give all your stuff away. A lot of people might think, well, that's got to be the easiest way to do it. You make nothing, but at least it's easy. You'd actually be surprised that it's not exactly necessarily the easiest thing to do. My experience has been that when I have had situations that, let's say, I've offered one kitchen item, some sort of a small appliance like a blender or something, and it's free, my experience was that somebody showed up, they saw they were getting something free, and their first question is, well, what else are you giving away? And then I started to hear the whole, I've got a little child and I really don't have things. What else can you give me? And so I thought about it and I said, well, here, take the rice cooker. We don't really use it very much. And we have a blender here, and we have another, an air fryer here. And I gave away about $300 worth of stuff. Did I ever hear a word of thanks? No. And it wasn't really so much that as that I just didn't see any joy in this person's face, any excitement, any, wow, this is great. I didn't have to spend $300. I didn't have to spend $25. This is wonderful. I didn't hear anything to that sort. I didn't see anything like that. And 20 minutes after she left, she called me and she was telling me, well, I really do need other things. I mean, did you really need to keep your toaster oven? And I said, well, I'm so sorry to disappoint you that all that stuff wasn't enough. But yes, we do use our toaster oven. And another person got some free items and then asked if Greg and I would be willing to give them a $10,000 loan to start their business. And it just seemed like whatever we were doing, it didn't really have what looked like a positive effect on the other person. But when we sold things for low prices, even if you give back very little in return, you really should reciprocate something. The energy was just completely different. And the free things didn't necessarily go any quicker, because the other issue is that we would get calls from people and they'd want to know what was wrong with our stuff, because it's very natural for people to think, well, you get what you pay for, and if you're not paying anything, there has to be a reason. Maybe their furniture has bed bugs, maybe their dog peed on it or pooped on it or threw up on it. But they don't treat you like that when you're simply giving them a really good price on your sales. So I wouldn't recommend just giving everything away. Even if you want to sell for very little and money's not an object, I think there's something more just natural about having some sort of reciprocation, some kind of an exchange. So the next thing is consignment shops. So for anybody who isn't familiar with that mode of selling, what you do is you hand your stuff over to a secondhand shop. They list it, they sell it, and different consignment stores will do different things. And one thing that I've seen maybe more frequently than anything else is something along the lines of, they charge you to pick up your stuff and take it to their showroom, and then whatever they sell it for, you get 50%. And typically they start out at a certain price, and then for that month they try to sell it. And if they don't sell it, then for month 2 they lower the price, and again, you get 50% now of that new lowered price. And if it doesn't sell, then they do the same thing in month 3. They drop the price one more time. By now, it's really low, and you're only getting 50%. But if it still doesn't sell after 3 months, it becomes their item. And whatever they sell it for, they keep 100% at that point. So I've seen people that do consignment shops, and what I have seen typically is they will give them just about everything in their house and end up with about $1,500. And that's before they, that's without counting that they had to pay something for them, for the consignment store to ship. And again, I'm not saying that every store has the same business model, and I'm not saying that everybody's going to walk away with $1,500. I'm just saying that's pretty much what I've seen up until this point, $1,500 up to about $2,000. Something similar is giving your stuff to an auction. Auctions, again, it's only what I've seen, so it could be completely different depending on the auction, but from what I've seen, they will have a silent auction for a week, maybe 2 weeks. And again, you pay them something for getting the service set up, and then whatever they sell for, you get 50% of that. I've seen people sell incredible houses, beautiful furniture, very high end, and at the end of the day, walk away with somewhere between $3,000 to $5,000. Now, what I will say on behalf of consignment stores and auctions is it is a very easy way to deal with your stuff. Once it is out the door, you don't have to do anything. You just wait for the inventory, the list of inventory that's sold and what it's sold for and what your share is, and then you get paid for it. So it's definitely simpler than trying to take care of all of this on your own, but it comes at a price. I mean, up to $5,000, we sold our stuff for $16,000, and I think I mentioned a little bit before in my previous video, we didn't actually make $16,000. We made a lot more than that, but I didn't want to mention things like cars and a big ticket item like a piano and things that people don't have. And there were other big ticket items that most people won't have. For example, we sold a pizza oven. We bought it for $2,200 new, and we sold it for $900. We also had another unusual item. We had a vintage slot machine, a collectible item, and we sold that for $1,200. So we made, as I said, well over $16,000. We just had items that I didn't want to include because I don't want you to think, oh, $18,000, that's great, and then realize that, yeah, well, a couple $1,000s of that was a slot machine and a pizza oven, which highly unlikely that you might have. But of course, everybody's going to have furniture. Probably everybody's going to have artwork on the walls. And then even if you don't have a lot of old books or old technologies, you're probably going to have certain kinds of other collectibles that are maybe comparable. So, okay, as I said, just to wrap up with that, consignment stores and auctions are an option. They're much simpler than what we did, but you're going to make a lot less money. Another possibility is selling whole house. The thing about selling whole house, and it is exactly what it sounds like, everything in your house is one giant bundle. Now, while I'm a big fan of selling things bundle, if you try to sell the whole house, the reality is the chance that you're going to find somebody who really loves every single kind of oddball collection of things that you're excited about, it's practically a statistical impossibility that one person is going to find value in all of those types of things that you have. That they might walk in the house and say, I love all this furniture. But they're not going to walk into the house and say, oh, I really want old books, and I'm really excited about as well old technologies. And I'm also really excited about that collection of Hummel porcelain figurines. And I'm also really excited about all that LeBron James memorabilia. You're not going to find that. So what happens is the price that you're selling your whole house for, the person who's buying is not going to take into the account all your collections of things that they have no interest in. So it's a great way to move quickly, but you're going to be leaving some money on the table. I think you're going to do better doing that than you're going to get from doing consignment stores and auctions. But as I said, you're not going to make the most possible money that you can make. Although again, it's a trade-off. You're going to simplify your life. The other thing, though, I should mention is that the likelihood of selling a whole house, even all the furniture in your house, is not very big unless the person who's buying it is actually buying your house. You know, if you're selling your house, you've put it up for sale, you've got a buyer, you're in contract, that's the most likely person who's going to want everything in the house because it fits the style of your house, it fits proportionally the house. For them to have another house that's got the same size living room, same size dining room, same size bedrooms is very, very small. So it definitely has some merit, but it's number one, unlikely, and number two, you'd be leaving some money on the table. So now let's talk about you selling everything on your own and not trying to sell everything as one unit. And so first thing that you want to think about is just a few general items, like where are you going to be listing everything? Most likely Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, OfferUp, those kinds of places. And especially for big ticket items, you're going to want to do the business where you go to Google or Chrome and there's that little camera up at the top and you use that camera to photograph your item. And what happens is that Google does a search for identical items or the nearest items. It's a great feature. And it will show you what those items are listed for. They might show you in a new condition. You're not going to want that so much. You're going to be looking for secondhand prices. And whatever those are, take the lowest price, and yours has to be quite a bit lower than that. You don't want to have your stuff sitting for 2 months, for 3 months. It's the last thing that you want to be doing. You want prices where people are going to be calling right away, or rather sending texts, sending emails, that kind of thing within days. And if you don't get responses within a short amount of time, you want to keep lowering the price. Things that are so small that nobody wants to buy one piece by piece. Start bundling things together. Bundle your kitchen sets together. Bundle not just a couch and a love seat that are matching, but try to bundle the whole room. If you've got a living room full of stuff and everything is harmonious and works beautifully together, try to sell the whole room. You're going to get a little bit less money than you're going to get if you can try to do piece by piece. But in terms of the amount of money that you're getting for the whole room combined, you're probably going to be doing better than what you're going to be getting if you're selling each couch separately. Let me try to explain that a little bit differently. If you're selling the whole room, you have to be doing it at a discount. So you factor in, well, this couch, I'm bringing the price down this far and the love seat this far. Whereas if you're selling the couch and the love seat, you might be asking for more money and you get paid more money for those two items together. But there's going to be a lot of other things that you're not going to be able to sell. Or you try to list at a sort of a more typical secondhand price, you're simply not going to be selling them because people are looking for special deals. So eventually you're going to be dropping those prices anyway, as well as the fact that some of it you're just not going to sell. Your goal, just a second. Okay. Your goal is to get everything sold. And again, when you can sell all of your items as opposed to just piecemeal but at a better price, that overall price tag that you're getting, it's going to be a better price. So how to know when to bundle a little bit more and when to try to sell certain things separately. The fact is, it's a little bit more of an art than a science, and you start to get a sense for it once you start. So next thing I want to talk about is a big don't. Okay, please don't use storage facilities. As crazy as this may sound, in 1960 there was one storage facility in the whole country. It's storing and hoarding and being pack rats. It simply wasn't a thing. So if you look at these houses from the 1960s and 1970s and even 1980, and you're looking at them and thinking, God, what did people do? There's no closet space here. The houses were built like that because that was plenty. Sorry, my phone keeps slipping. Okay, that was plenty because at the time, people didn't used to hoard everything that they had. You know, people didn't think about buying a phone as you've got to keep the box and you've got to keep the styrofoam and you've got to keep all the wrapping and you've got to keep this and that's just for one phone. And then, you know, thinking along those lines for absolutely everything that you own, that wasn't a thing. So those smaller closets were absolutely adequate. So you want to start thinking about, hey, you know what? People could live like that back then. I can do it now, and I can do better. You want to do better than that. Just a second. Okay, I have a feeling I'm going to be doing this a bunch of times because it's a little humid, and I think that the phone is slipping off the window. So I apologize in advance. As I said, I think it might be happening again. So I will tell you our one experience with storage facility. And what happened was we had all kinds of furniture that we needed to get rid of and other items. And we paid a delivery guy to bring all that stuff to a storage facility. And we rented it for a year. It was about $100 a month. And in the end, we got everything sold and we could let go of the storage facility. How much did we sell everything for? It was about $1,200. How much did we spend for the storage facility? $1,200. We could have simply just given away everything from the start, and we would have saved money because we wouldn't have been paying a delivery guy to bring all that stuff to a storage facility. And plus, the name of the game right now is declutter. Okay, it's not just because you don't have room in your closet. It's because it changes your life. It is so liberating and so freeing to not be owned by the stuff that you think you own. It actually owns you a lot more. So, yeah, the storage facilities, don't go there. And the other thing is there's a lot of mindset involved, and a lot of people don't want to sell for so much less money, and they bemoan the fact that, oh, I paid so much more for that when I bought it new. Yeah, but you bought it new. They're getting it used. It doesn't have the same value. It also could be something that was very stylish at the time and not so many people are interested now. That also changes the value. So you have to kind of learn to let go of, I paid so much more. Okay? It's not the same product now. Even if you buy it secondhand and you're selling it for less. Remember, you used it. You know, think of it as you paid money toward renting that item and now you're letting it go. So it's not going to have the same value anymore. The other thing is really you're making your life better. Enjoy the process and be happy that nice people, hopefully, are getting your stuff at a price they can afford and they're really going to be appreciating it. So you're taking something that mattered to you a lot and now you're passing it to somebody else and it matters to them a lot. Okay, enjoy the fact that you've just made somebody's day. When we sold our cars and the grand piano, we made $32,000. When we sold the pizza oven and the slot machine, we made a little over $2,000, and all the kind of junk in the closet, furniture items, that kind of thing, we made $16,000. It was work, and it took time, but we got it all done in about 8 months. Now, it wasn't something that I spent every day doing. Sometimes I'd go weeks without devoting any time to it at all. So 8 months loosely, okay? But definitely much less than a year, certainly, of course, less than 5 years. But it did take time, and it took some organization. The reward was tremendous. We definitely got a nice little nest egg to help us in our new chapter of our lives, being over 60, moving into retirement. And it's such a great time. I have to say, I'm having more fun right now in my 60s than I've ever had in my life. It is our time. We no longer have to be students if we don't want to be. We don't have to be working if we don't want to be. And we are loving our life of full-time nomad travel. And it's really, making it to your 60s is a privilege, and it should be enjoyed. And every day I am just feeling a little bit more those rays of sunshine, erasing all the black clouds that were clutter that I couldn't get out from under for years, that caused me so much stress, that made me feel like we're never going to get out from this house. And just the last thing I'll mention, for what it's worth, at the last house that we owned was 4,100 square feet. Now, I grew up as in what was called back in the day a lower middle class family. We had a house that was a townhome, so it was attached on both sides, and it was about 1,300 square feet of space, 3-bedroom, 5 people living in it, 1 full bathroom, and 1 powder room. So to me, the thought of growing up and living this sort of old Hollywood life, a big house and a pool in the backyard and a yard, not just a little cubicle of space in front of the townhome. That was a dream for me, and it literally was a dream. I would have this recurring dream of walking through my home and going, wait, what's that door in the back of the closet? Wait, let me open it. Oh my God, there's another room there that the other owners didn't know anything about. And wait, and there's a hallway. Oh my God, look at the size of this room. You could make a whole concert hall out of it. Oh my God, this house, this is worth a fortune. I used to have that dream. So when we saw a 4,100 square foot magnificent house, I mean, it was definitely a diamond in the rough, needed a lot of work. All the prior owners had eventually grown into their 90s and died, and it was in a state of disrepair, and it was a bank foreclosure. Well, we could buy it and fix it up our way. And in the beginning, it was my Hollywood home. I fell in love with it. And then the honeymoon with the house started to come to an end after a couple years, when things would break down, and then more things would break down, and more things would break down. And why was that happening? Was because it was a 4,100 square foot house. And I started to realize, well, maybe we didn't need those 5 toilets after all, or 11 sinks, or a pool that we barely ever even use. And all of that stuff would break down or leak or whatever. And it got to the point that everything was about the house. And I realized that I didn't want it anymore. But there was this one problem. There was so much stuff in it that even to look at one single closet and open it and see all that stuff, I would think, we're never going to get out of here. Because I would look at it and I'd go, well, yeah, but I mean, we can't just get rid of this cable cord, because what if it connects to something that we're still using? I mean, never mind that cord has been sitting there for 8 years. If we get rid of it and we'll never find one like it again, what are we going to do? So you've got to keep the cord. And then you've got to keep all the paperwork connected to the house and everything else. So it just started to feel like I'm in hell and I'm never getting out. So being able to find a way to get out was my first moment of feeling like my life is about to get better, and it did. And that's why seeing everything, people showing up, buying the stuff, walking out the door, and watching the house get emptied out and emptied out, I kept thinking, there's a way, there's a way to make this work, and it's happening. And with each bag of stuff, even emptying out an entire closet, there was still so much more. It was just a bottomless pit of stuff. It's incredible the amount of things that you collect over time. So it was really overwhelming. And I can completely understand if somebody in our situation had chosen to say, you know what, I can't do this. I personally would rather do the auction situation, or I would personally rather do the consignment situation. I could totally understand that. It's why I wanted to talk about all the different options. But I chose to do it a little bit harder way. And it took more time, but we definitely made a lot of money. We made some friends. It was really fun seeing people's faces light up when they got their stuff. It was fun seeing them say, oh my God, I only came here to buy a couch, but you're really going to sell all these things at this price. Do you have more things? Or, okay, let me come back with a truck. Or, okay, I don't think I can use anything else, but I know a friend that she's going to flip when she sees this. And then they bring friends. And you know, it's just more and more things that are emptied out, good feelings between people. And again, it took more time, but it worked. And with every single thing that went out, everything that went out to our buyers, everything that went out to our friends, everything that went out to Goodwill, it was such a wonderful feeling. I can't recommend it enough. And it was just the most beautiful gateway into moving into this next stage of our lives. And I can't say enough good things about it. I guess what I will end with, I really mean this is going to be coming to the end anyway, is not everything about getting rid of your stuff is going to be that easy. It's one thing to sell a shovel, okay? It's another thing to be looking at bags of old family photos and telling yourself, you know what, I can't travel the world with this bag of photos, or I can't travel the world with all these things that I've grown with and that I think mean something to me, and I think it's going to scare me to get rid of them. There is that, and I didn't want to talk about that in this video. I wanted this to just be focusing on how to actually sell. So my next video is going to talk more about the actual feeling of going through this and how to deal with that and make it work for you. So thank you if you've made it to the end of this. I hope that if you like it, you like this video, that you will like the video and subscribe to our channel. And I hope to see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.